Not exactly hidden. Well, that was quicker than expected, Brinchar notes as he looks over the enormous crowd of knocked out and beaten pedophiles, child traffickers, and their enablers. There were 4 separate teams of officers identifying the women one after another and properly teleporting them into containment with Axiom, disrupting bands around their wrists. Those bands were fairly flimsy things, but as most of the galaxy used Axiom to enhance their strength rather than build it up the hard way, they may as well be solid steel. That's what a good plan does. Unfortunately, it also cuts out a lot of the fun. Airfarce notes as he looks over it. It's why we make a point of enjoying other things. Plan, 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 maybe a couple minutes of fun as everything goes off at once, and then fallout, cleanup, and paperwork. Thank God I get to practice with all sorts of aircraft or I'd go completely around the bend. The fun of a proper legal operation. There's a reason so many prefer to commit crimes, Brinchar says with a grin. You said it. Still, there's plenty of fun to be had, Sai. You're seeing your son grow up strong and capable. You're doing righteous work and maybe getting a second reputation, one a little less bloodthirsty than your usual one. My usual reputation is as a shrewd businessman who runs a courier service and a devoted husband and father, Brinchar notes. Sure thing, Bone Chewer, Airfarce retorts. Are you just physically incapable of being anything other than irreverent? Yes, Airfarce answers immediately. That explains a lot, Brinchar says, trying to hide his amusement. It does, doesn't it? Airfarce asks with a chuckle. I must admit, I don't tend to leave my enemies alive, so what now? Brinchar asks. We're going to get an absolute circus on the legal scene. A lot of these women are highly placed and very influential. Chief Brewy pulled a masterstroke by declaring all assets frozen until the investigations are complete. This stops them from bringing in an army of lawyers to stall things out until the public outrage dies, and since the attorneys they will get will be publicly appointed and paid the same win or lose. Well, a lot of the vicious edge will be gone. Not all of it. Far from all of it, actually, Brinchar corrects him. Do remember that they have reputations to uphold and no one wants a famous loss on their applications. Well, there's no real way to get rid of that one. Not without subverting and twisting the law until it outright breaks. I still don't see why I shouldn't just have the mushrooms eat these women. Because you can point to any field and say there's a legion of bodies under it. By the very movements of nature, you'll even be correct more often than not. But it's not a threat. Not really. You need to show people the slow, agonizing process of losing everything all nice and legal in return for their brutality. That way there's no question and it's almost impossible to look away. And I thought I had a mean streak, Brinchar jokes. You have a sadistic streak, that's different. Airfarce rejoins and the Apuk shrugs at that. It is true after all. Well then, I best collect Darechar and focus on realigning with the Dark Forest so we can head back to Surbo. Brinchar notes and Airfarce nods. Makes sense. But don't be surprised if you get a call or requested to present yourself in a few dozen court cases. This one's going to take a long time to grind through, Airfarce remarks. Really? I wonder how many clips of my saying that I advocated to kill them all and let the afterlife sort them out will be passed around. Too many times, Airfarce says. Yes, that sounds about right. Anyways, I need to bring my son home. Don't tell your wives about the little cut he got infiltrating things, or his mother. Let him be the one that does that. He's a tough kid and that needs to be respected, Airfarce notes. I know how to be a parent, Brinchar says. That's right, and they're more resilient than you usually give them credit, Airfarce notes. I know. Believe me, I know more than one of my daughters decided that an argument is won by throwing a punch. I bet that went over well, Airfarce notes. Oh yes, especially when they learned that I can punch right back. It's how so many of them earn the title of Battle Princess. Bryn Char states with a chuckle, "Why do I get the feeling that those ones are the hardcore daddy's girls?" "Because you're correct?" Bryn Char asks, and Airfarce chuckles. "All right, well, don't let us keep you from your family," Airfarce says, and Bryn Char nods before vanishing. He isn't alone, but his immediate bubble no longer has someone else in it. Airfarce's arms are crossed. They are crossed for good reason. His arms are locked, so it takes more thought and movement to draw a weapon and kill someone. He won't do it. He knows he won't do it, but he cannot deny the temptation. He sighs to himself as he looks over it all. For all that these monsters are in the same forest as their victims, the distance is so great that he can't sense any of them. Which is good. This place is a living eldritch abomination that's actively protecting the children. The local equivalent of a Shoggoth acting as a guard dog will keep someone safe no matter what happens. Still, he does prefer the Bright Forest to anything dreamed up by Lovecraft's various neuroses. Mostly because he's reasonably sure he can bargain with the Bright Forest, and it may even decide to adopt him, or whatever the hell a sorcerer is to these things. He shakes his mind away from the mental image of what kind of screwed-up monstrosity a neurotic horror writer would make of the Bright Forest and its older, darker brother. The preliminary sentencing is going to take how long? Dale asks in shock. The sheer caseload means that we're going to need to quintuple our standard evaluation protocol algorithms in order to sort through all of them, and it will still take at least 3 years. 3 years? Wow. And these preliminary automated trials, how do they go? Basically, there is a system that tallies up everything a person is being prosecuted for, and you can either accept a 10% lessened sentence and plead guilty, or declare you wish to go to court proper. In all likelihood, all of them are going to demand this go to court, which is going to take a very long time. Is there precedent for this? Dale asks. Tragically, yes. Normally pirate crews that are caught alive, or terrorist cells, or violent cults, but mass court cases have been done previously. But there's 3 levels of trial. The first automated one, but that's mostly to save time in courts by having petty criminals get the slightly lighter sentence in return for not getting much time. The second level is where plea deals are offered, but they're private cases and sealed for 20 years. After that, we're going to be given the real show, the big trials that will drag on for a long time. And what do those look like? Dale questions, vaguely curious and not at all surprised that this sounds nothing like an episode of Judge Judy. Several varieties. In this case, we're going to see 3 major cases. One for the financiers and owners, one for the customers as a whole, and one for the employees and enablers. If it gets to that level, none of them are walking away cleanly and free, and none of them are going to be able to avoid having all their information known from one end of the galaxy to the other. But the main focus will be on the 7 colors. They've already got a nickname? Dale asks. Among my officers. Now. Chief Brewy is cut off when her communicator goes off, and Dale leans back in his seat to let her speak. Chief Brewy, oh, you're here early. Of course, I have someone with me right now that can fetch your son. Yes, he's listening in on this very conversation. Hello, Dale says with a grin. Shut up. Chief Brewy tells him before going back to the communicator. Yes? Edwin Terrence Cubbins? Okay. Yes, I'll have him at the station as soon as possible. I do not want to keep a mother from her child for any reason. I'm going for him, Dale says, standing up. Any details you want me to know, ma'am? Her name is Elizabeth Janet Cubbins. Species is Platin, she says, and Dale gives her a thumbs up before vanishing. He arrives into a large clearing full of chatter, laughter, snacking, napping, and hundreds of made-up-on-the-spot games going on at once. So his first answer is to cup his hands around his mouth and call, Edwin Terrence Cubbins. Is there an Edwin Terrence Cubbins? The call is picked up, and soon enough a little Platin comes forward. Hello, little one. Are you the son of Elizabeth Janet Cubbins? That's my mom. Well, great. She's going to arrive at the police station soon, so I'm going to take you there so the first thing she sees is you. Okay? He asks, holding out his hand. The little guy grabs it and they're both away in an instant. They're back in Chief Brew's office a half-second later. And he's here now. Would you like... Okay, ma'am. Chief Brewy says, holding the communicator out to Edwin. Mom, what's going on? Everyone says that a lot of time has passed and bad things happened. Edwin says into the communicator, and Chief Brewy gives Dale a hard look and he steps around the child and desk to lean over and whisper. It's the most that could be explained without possibly triggering some kind of terrible memory or scaring the children. Time passed. Something bad happened and we're going to get everyone we can home safe and sound. Until then, it's a big slumber party. He explains and she nods. Good. That'll keep them all content for a while. Is it holding up well in the forest? The bright forest has a lot of tricks that makes it borderline impervious both inside and out. The kids are far less safe in their mother's arms than under the forest's caps. Though don't quote me on that. I don't want to deal with angry mothers. Smart man, Chief Brewy replies with a grin. Thank you, he says, leaning back as Edwin chatters away with his mom about how things got really weird and then he was in daycare and then they were really weird with a brown cloud that brought them to a place with movies playing and then it turned into games. Because if you climbed a mushroom fast enough, you could see your own bottom, which was weird, and how he had all sorts of neat new snacks, and he was just going on a long, prattling list of how much fun he was having. Well, that looks like one tragedy averted, Dale notes. How long has his missing persons case been cold? 4 years, she says, and he sighs. He should be moving on to specialist training and education, not barely halfway through his general education. Thankfully, the same thing used to keep him to their preferences lets him and his mother have all the time they need to be together after this. Dale mutters. Is a healing coma really such a blessing on the galaxy if it's used in such a terrible way? No, it is. He shakes the thoughts from his head. Just because a life-saving surgery preserved a monstrosity doesn't mean the surgery or the method is at fault. It's all on the monster and the choices it made. No matter how much blame there is, keep it where it belongs. Do not spread it needlessly. The call ends as Elizabeth promises to see her son really soon and take him out for his favorite treats. She's sniffling and he asks what's wrong. The answer of her being happy really confuses him. But he accepts it regardless. Then the little guy holds the communicator up for Chief Brewy to take, and she smiles at the little guy. Now, why don't you wait out front with Dale here? Your mother will be here soon, okay? She asks, and he nods. Come on, little buddy, let's get moving, Dale says, offering his hand, and the little guy takes it. What's that? He asks, pointing to the weapon in Dale's thigh holster. That is a chemically propelled medium-range kinetic weapon, he says. Hun? It's called a gun. Think of it like a laser or a plasma caster, but it uses chunks of metal instead. It's also really loud, Dale explains. Is it fun? Edwin asks. It can be, but it's also really dangerous. So you need training to use it the right way or you're going to hurt yourself and maybe even hurt someone else, Dale explains, and Edwin considers that for a few moments. Oh, okay. Why do you have one then? He asks as they arrive in the front entrance, and at Dale's prompting, Edwin sits on one of the chairs as the conversation continues. Because I'm trained to use it right. It's also used in my job. What do you do? Edwin asks. I hunt things for food, I track down bad people and stop them. I protect good people like you, and I help build and fix things, Dale says, sitting next to him but making sure he's not blocking line of sight between Edwin and the door. What do you hunt? Well, it's normally paratak, a big round and heavy trotter of a beast that's low to the ground with really thick and strong hide but tasty meat underneath. They can be dangerous though, as they're A lot faster than they look, and they're so heavy they can crush you if you're not careful. What do you do if the hunt goes wrong? Edwin asks. It hasn't yet, but if it does, I'll climb a tree. They're strong and fast, but bad climbers. So it's easy to get away if you keep your head on straight and... Edwin! A woman's voice calls out. Dale slides well out of the way as a Platin woman rushes up and engulfs her son in a hug before covering his face with kisses. All right, that's one down. Plenty more to go, Dale remarks. Have fun, little man. I've got to get going now. And with that, he's gone. Back in Chief Brew's office, just as another mother calls to announce she's going to be there early, he's quickly given a name and general description. Before Elizabeth and Edwin leave, Dale is escorting Cimmerize to the front to await his own mother arriving. Well, less escorting and more carrying the jungle Nagasha who's wrapped around his torso, driving his elbows into the top of Dale's head and asking him 3 questions every 2 seconds.